What this heralds really is a new era in spaceflight, a new era in space exploration. We're gonna go to the moon, we're gonna have a base on the moon, we're gonna send people to Mars and make life multiplanetary. And I think this day heralds a new age of space exploration. That's what it's all about.
He's doing so many different things at the same time. It's almost impossible.
In fact, he measures pretty much every major decision by whether or not it brings the day when we have a self-sustainable colony on Mars sooner or later. Wouldn't you want to be a part of that?
Being willing to fail and then fix and then fly, test, fail, fix. It's what enables SpaceX to rapidly iterate and improve.
Three, two, one.
Three, two, one.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Thanks for flying SpaceX.
This is amazing! Look at it! It's horizontal! It is going down! This is it! Oh my god, this is amazing! There's the pad! Come on! Oh!
3, 2, 1, 0.
What about it? Go for launch.
We're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
Ignition sequence start.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Thanks for joining in this morning. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I've been watching the SpaceX broadcast for the last, I don't know, 2.5 hours or so. They're ahead of schedule, and it's going to be an amazing launch again. I'm so hyped for this. How are you, everybody? To the viewers from the United States, how did you get up this early? It's amazing how many have arrived again. It's surprising every time. So thank you all for joining in, and we're going to have a great time. Yeah, I guess everybody knows why we're here today. Hello, everybody. I'm watching the chat right now. Moderators, please scream if you need a slow mode. But right now, I think it looks good. It's nice and calm. I've been reading the chat for a while as well, and it's a cool vibe this morning. I'm really happy that everybody's here again. And yeah, the Crew 2 is already in the Crew Dragon. They are all prepared. It's SpaceX is ahead of schedule actually, so it's pretty amazing to see them work like it's like a clockwork. They know perfectly what they're doing, and yeah, it's going to be a really cool launch. Yes. And I even have my little Crew Dragon here. Look at that. Ooh, I'm prepared. I've got all my toys here. So, yeah, we're all set. Let me just real quick switch to picture-in-picture here so we get the view from SpaceX. That's it. They're sitting there waiting for the launch. We're about half an hour away from prop load and about 40 minutes away from LOX load, and then the party's already starting. So we're good to go. It's absolutely amazing to see that they're already launching Crew 2. Crew 1 is still on the International Space Station, and they're already launching the next crew. They're supposed to dock tomorrow morning, so that's a 24-hour ride, which is fairly quick. And so they're going to even have the opportunity to give the Crew 1 team a handshake before they depart on, I think, it's April 28th. That's when the landing is expected for Crew 1. So they are, that's like a train station right now there. Crew Dragon is performing absolutely epic, and it's amazing to see that that's another SpaceX project. SpaceX they have their fingers in everything now, and yeah. It's pretty much amazing every time another milestone is broken. Like recently, they've been picked for the lunar lander with the Starship, as you might have seen if you follow my channel. And it's like every week there is something exciting about SpaceX. It's just amazing. I'm super hyped, as you might be able to see. Yeah, plenty of people have already said where they are from, so it's the whole planet is here again, and it's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for showing up this morning, and I'm glad you're all here. Stinger, you're here. They said the whole moderator team came again to watch this with us, so it's amazing. It's really cool, and yeah, I'm hyped as well. I got the button. There you go. Yeah, it's amazing. Thanks all for showing up. So again, it's the same routine as every time. We're going to watch this unfold until the launch happens, and then most likely another hour or so after that. If you have any questions for me, please do tag the moderators and tag Stephanie, my wife. She'll relay the questions to me. Any super chats still are going into our Florida funds. We're progressing nicely. For those who might have the question, everything's going perfect despite the pandemic. Incredibly, everything is progressing nicely, and we're still targeting August, and we're in the final phase now. The house is already half boxes. But we're still producing, and we're still going strong, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that we're embarking on this, and soon I'll be able to watch these launches from the backyard and stream from the backyard, of course, as well. So that's going to be awesome. Jason, thank you very much for the super chat. That's much appreciated. Thank you so much. So yeah, I've got my hands full right now. Besides producing episodes for the channel, there is of course going to be an episode tonight. Besides live streaming, we're also packing up the whole household and preparing everything for Florida. So bear with me if I don't have that much time, for example, answering comments right now under my videos. I try to as much as I can, but normally I'm more active in there than I am right now because, yeah, we're pretty busy. But we're managing and everything's fine and we're going strong, and it's really, really cool to have your support. It's really, really nice. All right. So, give me a second. Actually, I could...
to space station from U.S. soil. This will be the third Crew Dragon flight with crew and its second long-duration mission to the International Space Station.
Yes.
The astronauts... SpaceX, you are go for Section 6. When ready, report go for launch.
Here we go.
Copy, Section 6, and work.
The astronauts are also flying on the Crew Dragon Endeavour, which is the same capsule that launched Bob Bacon and Doug Hurley last year. And today, Bob's wife, Megan, is the pilot on this flight, sitting in the same seat that he did.
Yeah.
It's been an awesome countdown so far. Weather is still looking good, and the excitement is picking up as we get closer and closer to that T0.
That's right, Jesse. We had a great countdown today.
I'm just going to turn them down real quick here. We're also about 16 minutes away from crew access arm retract, so we're getting into the hot phase now.
Kimbrough,
go for launch.
And it's amazing.
Go for launch.
All right, the crew reporting go for launch real time. This just comes right after crew walkout where Shane Kimbrough, Megan MacArthur, Thomas Pesquet, and Aki Hoshide gave final goodbyes with friends and family gathered outside the operations and checkout building before they began that roughly 20-minute ride out to pad 39A.
And though it was early morning before dawn, we did still get some awesome views of those Teslas heading down the NASA Causeway before the crew arrived
pretty amazing
at
again.
the pad. And once they arrived,
right, I just got the question here in the chat that if SpaceX would be using a Starship fully filled up with Starlink satellites for Mars, and I do expect exactly that. Yes, it's the logical thing to do. It's going to be actually cheap for SpaceX to launch roughly 350 Starlink satellites towards Mars, even if it's hard to believe. But I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Yeah. Yep. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. It's the kind of stuff you normally just see in sci-fi movies, and we're talking about it. It's within reaching distance by now, thanks to SpaceX. It's just amazing.
60 minutes, and we did hear those call-outs. And the Dragon pull for prop load will occur here in
Tesla rules.
Just about a minute at T-minus
Definitely does.
T-minus 55 minutes. After that will be T-minus 45 minutes will be the internal mission control Hawthorne pull, and then the launch director's pull for propellant loading. And when we get to about T-minus 40 minutes, the crew access arm will retract, and the crew will get the call to close their visors and arm the launch escape system.
Yes!
Now, this is the automated system in place
so we're so close already.
The 8 Super Draco thrusters on Dragon to quickly separate the crew from the rocket, either on the pad or during the flight on the ride uphill.
And then once we reach about T-minus 35 minutes, propellant loading for the Falcon 9 will begin. Throughout the countdown, we've been getting some pretty incredible views of the astronauts you see there on the right, making their final preparations, as well as some close-up views of the suits. The teams have often described the suits as an extension of the Dragon spacecraft, almost a mini spacecraft inside of a spacecraft. So we're hearing that the SpaceX teams are go for launch, and we'll wait for that.
All right, while we're at it, please do like the stream. Of course, that helps hugely. It's completely for free. It's just that one click, and if you like what we're doing here, and it's not just me, it's the moderators in the background, everybody organizing what you're seeing here. So if you like it, please do click the like button. It helps us a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you like this, and so on and so forth. Thank you very, very much. So the SpaceX teams go for launch. Everything is set. We're 36 minutes away from prop load now.
Wait for that call for the teams to begin propellant loading. We are hearing that there was a weather brief at L-1 hour. We're still looking go for today's launch. Pad escape winds are go.
Good.
The weather up the Ascent corridor is go. Everything tracking as we're inside now, 55 minutes to launch.
Nice. We're actually a bit closer to prop load. Sorry for that. We're about 20 minutes away from prop load, RP1 fuel load on first and second stage. Yes. This is gonna be good. It's a night launch as well. It should look amazing. Maybe even get a twilight phenomenon in the upper layers. So this is going to be a really, really nice launch to watch. I can't wait for them to light the candle. I've been so excited. I got up this morning and I had that smile on my face again. I was cuddling with my Crew Dragon. An Zhuang sent me this model. He's the same guy who sent me this absolutely epic Starship model. And he sent me this Crew Dragon,
All right, so
which
again,
is...
there are several milestones here now that we're less than an hour away from launch. Most of the calls will be the team's readiness to get ready for propellant loading at T-minus 35 minutes.
And it's got a detachable trunk as well.
Propellant loading will begin.
It's magnetic, though.
Refined kerosene will start to fill the tanks of both the Stage 1 and Stage 2 elements of the Falcon 9 rocket. Stage 2 is smaller and expected to fill up just about 20 minutes prior to launch. But RP1 refined kerosene will continue to load into the rocket, as well as liquid oxygen on both the first and second stages, filling up just about 3 minutes before launch for the first stage and 2 minutes before launch for the second.
Yeah, about 7:30. I just saw the message, the question from Casper here, about 7:30. Yeah, that's when I opened my eyes, 7:15, and I was following around 7:30.
All right, and we are hearing that the Dragon teams did conduct that go poll electronically here in Mission Control Houston. The first checked and the first milestone to go for prop load is underway. There's going to be another poll coming up at T-minus 45 minutes with the launch teams, and then prop load is set to begin at T-minus 35. Until then, let's go over to Jasmine over at the Kennedy Space Center. Jasmine?
Thank you, Gary. Joining me now is NASA's acting administrator, Steve
All right,
Jurczyk.
I'm going to turn this down real quick. Jay Wedgeworth, the fourth, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the super chat. Just be ready to accidentally fall more in love with South Texas than Florida. I've been to South Texas. I really, really like the place. There are a few reasons why we chose Florida and didn't go for Texas, but I am going to be in Texas a lot. I'm actually looking forward to, because I'm a pilot, I'm very much looking forward to flying the distance between Florida and Texas myself. So maybe expect some flyovers with Mauricio down there and things like that. So I'm going to spend as much time in Texas as I can, obviously, because of Boca Chica and because of everything that's going on down there. I'm planning to open up a studio down there, so I don't have to sleep at the hotel all the time while I'm down there. So yeah. South Texas is definitely going to be second base for What About It in the United States. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Thank you very much for the super chat. Say Busby, thank you very much for the super chat. Please ask RX Graham to become a Patreon. He wants to because he isn't paying attention right now. Okay, RX Graham, please do become a patron. I'm supposed to ask you that. Thank you for the super chat.
And headed to Kennedy Space Center as you speak. It'll arrive here.
Yeah, SLS is on the way as well.
Mean all the components of SLS are here at Kennedy for integration for the Artemis 1 mission. Orion is ready to go for Artemis 1. The Gateway, we did a review of the Gateway the other day, and the Gateway's starting to come together. And then, of course, the last piece is the Ewing landing system, which will transport astronauts from lunar orbit to the surface and back to lunar orbit. So it's really exciting to have the landing system in full development. It's the last piece that we need for our first Artemis missions. And later this year, hopefully, we'll conduct the first Artemis 1 mission, which will be an uncrewed test flight around the moon.
And that's the only thing that NASA really needs to explain to me is why they need SLS and the Lunar Gateway if they have the Lunar Starship. But that's another topic that I'll definitely try to... well, I've tackled it a bit already on my show, but that's going to be another a topic again. You can be sure about that.
Yeah, so the science missions, the robotic missions are really important because they fill knowledge gaps for us that we need to fill to plan out eventually human missions to Mars. So, for example, there's a weather station on Perseverance. And for the first time, we're getting 5-day weather forecasts from Mars, right? So also that weather station characterizes the dust, the size and properties of the dust, and that's really important for mitigating that dust in suits and systems. Okay. So it fills knowledge gaps, but MOXIE is really important, right? We generated oxygen from atmospheric CO2, and using the resources of Mars is critical because it will be very challenging to take all the oxygen and all the fuel and water that we need with us for an astronaut mission to Mars. So getting oxygen from the atmosphere and exploiting the frozen water in the regolith or Martian soil is really important because we can break that water down into oxygen and hydrogen for fuel. We can use it for potable water as well as for breathable air. So this, what we call in situ resource utilization or living off the land, is a real enabler for our human missions to Mars.
Right. And of course we've got our sights set on the moon and Mars, but we're taking care of Earth at the same time. NASA recently joined the White House Climate Task Force. Can you tell us how NASA is going to expand its exploration and understanding of our home planet right here?
Yeah, so we have over about 24 spacecraft in Earth orbit right now, looking down, making observations of the oceans, the atmosphere, the land, vegetation, what we call the cryosphere, or measuring the height of ice sheets, both in the Arctic and Antarctic. So we use the unique view from space to make global measurements over years and decades. And we use that data to conduct research and also to improve models of the Earth systems and modeling, because if we can't predict climate using our research, we can't mitigate climate. And so that's really important that the research we do informs policy making and informs the most effective policies to mitigate climate change, which is really, really important, not only for the US, but for the world. Station, on ISS, we also have instruments mounted externally on ISS. It's in a unique orbit, an inclined orbit that's different from most of our Earth orbiting spacecraft that look down, which are in a polar orbit. And for certain types of instruments, that orbit is very advantageous. It gives us a lot of coverage and a unique perspective.
All right, I'm going to turn that down real quick again to answer a few more questions. MT404, thank you so much for the super chat. What do you think about what Elon said about catching Starship yesterday? So yesterday, I don't know what he said yesterday, but I know that he plans, or that he's thinking of catching Starships the same way as catching the Super Heavy boosters, which would be absolutely amazing in my opinion. If he can pull that off, it would, at least for an Earth landing, be even better than the legs. For Mars, though, that's a different thing, but he can design a Mars Starship separately. And the Mars flights are a bit into the future still. So why not catch them on Earth, even save even more weight? And so the plan, the optimal plan for Elon Musk on that, in that regard, would be to catch the Starship while it's falling down horizontally. So not even do the swing maneuver. Catch it while it's falling down horizontally and have it have an emergency landing contingency plan for if they can't catch it, it would do the swing and then land on the engine skirt without legs as an emergency scenario. But I really do think that would be, I mean, we've seen it last time with Serial number 10, what happens when you land on the skirt with a hefty landing. If it's a super soft one, it would work, but if it's bouncy, 5 minutes later, the Starship's gonna explode, so that wouldn't be too good. I'm very, very curious about the whole thing, about the whole idea of catching Super Heavy, catching Starship. I think it's a good idea. I know it would even be sleeker looking if the Starship would just land with legs, but if you don't need the legs, the more technology you outsource basically into your equipment, into your ground equipment, the less complex and the lighter the vehicle gets. So in my opinion, that's a glorious way of reducing complexity and reducing weight on the Starship and the booster. If they can pull that off, it would be perfect. It just won't work on Mars. So if you want to land a Starship on Mars, you will need legs. There won't be any way how they can get a catching mechanism on Mars, even in the next few years, because it would be huge. Nick Henning has done a render of a catch mechanism, what he thinks it would look like. And actually, I think that's what it would need to look like. It would be huge. I'm going to have that on another episode, hopefully next week, and I'll show you. But it is huge. So yeah, it's a really, really cool idea in my opinion, and it would be the right way for landing on Earth, definitely. Gregory Lewis, wow. Thank you so much for the generous donation. That is much appreciated. All the best. Thank you for your coverage of SpaceX. You're welcome. I'm enjoying this so much. Thank you all for showing up again. Do like the stream, subscribe to the channel, become a patron or a YouTube member. If you want to support further, follow me on Twitter. It's worth it. I'm very, very active on Twitter, and I do enjoy the community on Twitter. It's almost 30,000 people who follow me on Twitter already, which is amazing, and it's so much fun. And if you become a patron or a YouTube member, you get access to the Discord, which in my opinion is the biggest perk of all that, besides the ad-free releases, so no commercials or anything. But you get access to the Discord server, where if I have the time, I'm on as much as I can. For the last 1 or 2 weeks, I haven't been there much because like I said, I'm busy packing boxes and organizing stuff for Florida while producing episodes. And there we go. We have a crew access arm retract. Nice. This is going to be good. We're 13 minutes away from prop load. We're getting there. Very, very nice. This is good. This is so good. This is going to be so good. I can't wait for them to launch. This is good. Very nice. Crew Dragon is such a beautiful vehicle.
In preparation for launch. The countdown clock continues to tick, and we're now at T-minus 42 minutes and 33
Such
seconds.
A beautiful vehicle. Look at that.
We're standing by for the completion of the crew access retraction. This is one of the last major visual milestones that we'll see in preparation for liftoff. Shortly thereafter, we should hear the call out that the launch escape system is armed.
Yep.
And from there, we'll hear that Falcon 9 prop load has started, which is one of my favorite milestones of the launch
Same
countdown.
Here.
We just saw a beautiful shot from inside the white room as the crew arm was moving away. There it is. The capsule, you can just barely see it in the corner now of that opening where that is where the side hatch was, where the astronauts ingress Dragon, and now you can see it continuing to swing away from the Falcon 9 rocket.
Amazing rocket.
Dragon Endeavour in preparation for launch.
SpaceX is just doing such a great job with everything they do. It's just amazing. The booster itself, the vehicle, how they present it, how they go about it.
Tracy, as we're watching the crew arm
fantastic.
Still retracting here, we are about to have the International Space Station fly over us, right?
We are, yes, here at KSC, Kennedy Space Center. Looks like in another minute to the southeast. Traveling across east-northeast, the station should be visible overhead.
Yep. And then the Crew Dragon starts chasing the station. So the station passes over Kennedy Space Center, and the Crew Dragon just basically plays catch up. That's why sometimes they have these beautiful videos
call to arm the launch escape system
from the space station, where you can see the rocket launch from the ground and then start chasing the station. That is just...
Dragon SpaceX, you are go for Section 7. Close visors and arm launch escape system.
Yes. Here we go.
Copy.
Nice.
SpaceX Endeavour visors are down.
Awesome.
Copy, visors down.
Okay, so the crew there reporting that they have closed and locked their visors in place in preparation for the launch escape system arming. The launch escape system is a critical safety feature. This is something that the shuttle did not have. We take very seriously the fact that the astronauts' lives are in our hands, and we take every measure possible to ensure that the crew has options and has an escape in the worst of scenarios. So this is simply a path to safety for the crew in the event that they need to depart the pad in an emergency, and also applies to aborting the mission even after liftoff and through.
Yeah, it's actually pretty amazing because that launch abort system has several stages it goes through, and it can abort all the way up to MECO. So it's a pretty amazing system.
The propulsion system on Dragon.
Launch escape system is verified armed.
And it's even been improved
so that was confirmation
on
that the launch escape system is armed.
Nice.
And so that is what we have to hear before fueling on the Falcon 9 rocket can begin. So we are about just under 4 minutes away from that milestone. But again, we were saying the propulsion system. Oh, there's a shot of the space station.
Yep, that's
there
the
it is.
ISS passing overhead.
Everybody wave.
They're waving down at us. I think they're watching right now. So.
They are. You know they are.
Yeah, hi
Everybody
guys.
wave.
Hi. We see you.
Yeah, they are watching right now.
Cool.
Definitely.
But
amazing.
yeah, the abort system, it's been improved by about 10%. That's the Super Draco.
Yeah, wow,
thrusters.
exactly.
There's 8 of them built directly into the Crew Dragon, and so that actually allowed for a wider margin in terms of wind speeds. So there's greater opportunities for launch, but weather not looking like much of a concern at all today. In fact, last we heard there's less than 5% chance of violation, so more than 95% go conditions, which is great.
I think I can even get rid of this
launches from here.
timer here, because SpaceX's timer is permanently
system,
displayed.
How that works is, once the fueling begins at T-minus 35 minutes, if there's any kind of emergency, Crew Dragon can launch itself off the top of the Falcon 9 rocket, and then it would splash down under parachutes off the coast in the Atlantic, and we have rescue teams pre-positioned in the event of an emergency. If that happens, which is highly unlikely, but it's something the NASA and SpaceX and Department of Defense teams practice for extensively. That launch escape system is also equipped to perform an abort after liftoff. We would call that an in-flight launch escape, and that can happen at any point throughout the ascent trajectory.
3 more minutes until fuel load begins.
This launch escape system in multiple ways. We performed a pad abort test where a Dragon capsule was on the pad and simulated an abort where it took off like a rocket like you've never seen and deployed parachutes and splashed down in the Atlantic Ocean.
So that's a good question, actually. Is this a second use booster? So this is booster B1061, it's last flown with Crew 1. So it's refurbished and it's been flying with Crew 1, and the capsule itself is refurbished as well, because that's the capsule that Doug Hurley and Bob Bainkin rode on the demo mission too. So both the booster and the capsule, of course, it's SpaceX, is reused. Perfect. Really, really nice.
Expect to utilize. Once again, the booster that you're looking at now, if you're wondering why it looks a little dirty, that is actually soot that was left from re-entry after its last mission. This particular booster supported the Crew 1 mission very recently, and we have, there we can see a photo of our Crew 2 astronauts. Actually, they're holding up their fingers because they have soot. They signed their initials, their names into the soot there in the background. So I've said before, I love the human spaceflight traditions that we have, and I think this is a new one.
That's
Tracy, you
just
said
amazing.
it earlier.
Yeah. We never got to draw on the shuttle before. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely
they were
is.
answering questions about it, and he started to say we carved our initials, and he quickly stopped himself. No, we didn't carve anything into the Falcon 9. We traced our initials in the side of the rocket, and so you could see closely in that
1 more
photo,
minute
if you
until
look, you
prop
could see the
load,
initials
carving the
of
initials.
astronauts. So that's really cool and something that we look forward to seeing on future reused boosters. This one is set to land.
Load has started.
Oh, it should be high quality. Let me check.
Just heard
It's the highest setting. Yeah, it's the highest setting
fueling
available.
has begun
So yeah,
on the Falcon 9 rocket.
I can try to
And this first stage booster is
give
set
it
to
a
land.
reload, but
Stage
it
booster is set to land
that's
on
the-
a SpaceX
maybe it's
drone
better for you
ship
now,
at
but
sea, after liftoff.
and I can check my connection, but it says perfect connection. So
we are now
720p.
at T-minus
That's what they're
34 minutes,
broadcasting
30
at.
seconds and counting from Crew Dragon's third launch with astronauts and the first for 2021. Today begins the next 6-month rotation mission to the International Space Station. The launch escape system is armed, which happened just before fueling began at T-minus 35 minutes. The Dragon capsule was loaded with propellants about a week and a half ago, just a few miles down the road at what we call Dragon Land. And in order to fly, Dragon needs a fuel and an oxidizer. And Kate, I'll let you talk more about the fuel.
Yeah, so for that fuel, we use monomethylhydrazine, or MMH, and nitrogen tetroxide, or NTO, for the oxidizer. Together, these two propellants feed the Draco engines that maneuver Dragon on orbit, as well as the 8 Super Draco engines that would power the launch escape system in an abort scenario.
And again, now that the fueling is underway on Falcon 9, that means the 8 Super Draco engines built directly into Crew Dragon are ready, if
so
needed,
for those
to launch
who
the
are
capsule
wondering,
off of the Falcon 9.
For those who are wondering, who might not know, these are the Super Draco. These are the Super Draco engines. So they are here on the side. They are here, and right now they are covered with little, I think it's paper. That's the same that they used on the shuttles to cover up any portholes, any thruster holes, and things like that before launch. And these paper covers are just being ripped off while launch occurs. I think it's the same system.
Falcon 9 and Dragon for an on-time launch just under 33 minutes from now. Falcon 9 did begin propellant loading just a couple of minutes ago. We heard it.
Nice.
Now the first and second stages of Falcon 9 are each loaded with 2 liquid propellants. One is fuel. That's loaded into the tank at the bottom of each stage. The other is an oxidizer, and that goes obviously into the tank at the top of each stage.
Yay.
Now the fuel that we use
Gotta love
is a
John
refined
Innsbrucker.
kerosene called RP1. And the oxidizer loaded on each stage is densified liquid oxygen called LOX. Densified means that it is kept much colder than typical for launch vehicles, and it takes up less volumes. So this allows us to get more oxidizer loaded onto the first and second stages. Now to ignite the fuel and oxidizer in the Merlin rocket engine, we use an ignition fluid called T-tub. When T-tub comes in contact with oxygen, it burns, and it gives off a green-colored flame. Now, once we've got the flame going,
You can
we
see
add
that
the
green.
kerosene fuel into the Merlin chamber, and the engine ramps up to full power.
And when you pay close attention to when the ignition occurs, you can see that green flame.
Now, currently, we've just begun. The first stage fuel tank is about right now a little under 10% full. The first stage is the bottom 2/3 of the vehicle you see on your screen. The white cylinder topped off by the black cylinder, that makes up the first stage. And then the top 1/3 underneath the Dragon capsule, that's our second stage. Now at this time, the second stage fuel tank is about 8% full. Now the fuel tank, if you were to zoom in, that's where the NASA meatball logo is positioned. And right above it, you can just make out the red NASA worm logo, and that's where the liquid oxygen tank is on the second stage. And there's a closer view. Now, in addition to loading the fuel, we're also loading oxygen, the liquid oxygen, onto the first stage. We won't start liquid oxygen loading on the second stage until T-minus 16 minutes and 30 seconds.
Stage 1 cryo.
And liquid oxygen will continue loading on both stages until the last few minutes of the countdown. Helium loading into pressure vessels is also underway. We use that to pressurize the tanks in flight as the propellant is pulled out by the Merlin turbopumps. On board the Dragon spacecraft, you can see here in a close-up, the astronauts are monitoring systems while the propellant is loaded into the Falcon 9. The crew training in the simulator included playback of sounds that we've recorded in the Dragon capsule during recent flights. So they get an idea what all that hissing and popping and banging is from the vent valves and the pressurization systems. Now the range continues to report no problems. They are go to support launch. And the weather also looks good. I mentioned the T-minus 1 hour briefing. We called it fantastic. Currently, we don't have anything that we are tracking that could be a concern. We have a very small possibility of a pop-up rain shower, but nothing showing up. So right now, 29 minutes, 40 seconds ago, it looks like we've got good weather. Now, as a reminder, today we have an instantaneous launch window. So at this point, if we hear a hold for any reason, we'll have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity coming in 3 days.
Yep.
So right now, let's turn it back over to Jesse and Gary for an overview of events they're going to have.
I'm going to turn him down real quick here. I've got a few more super chats. Alex Jobs in the house. Go and hype yourself. Thank you so much for the super chat. If you don't know who that guy is, he's the one who makes the songs for What About It. 50-60% of the songs I play on my episodes by now are composed by him. The last song that you heard in the stream intro, when the countdown ticks down, is made by him. So he's a really, really good composer, and thank you so much for all your help. That's amazing. And he just got his Starlink antenna as well, like 2 days ago, I think, and he's testing around with that. Yep, exciting times. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We have Jason Connor. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for your cheer, like a warm fire on a cold winter day. Aw, thank you. Enjoy the day's launch. We have Stefan Pergi. Thank you, or Stefan Perge. Thank you very much for the super chat. Hype train incoming from Lübeck. Yeah, there you go. Keep up, Felix. Thank you so much, and I can't wait for this to unfold. The graphics look pretty good. Let me turn this up real quick.
About 2.5 minutes into flight, we have a series of 3 events that will happen in rapid succession.
First is MECO, or main engine cutoff. This is where all 9 Merlin 1D engines shut off in preparation for stage separation, which is our second event. This is where the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to Earth for landing as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event. SES-1, or second stage engine start number 1, is where the MVAC engine lights up and propels the second stage along with our Crew 2 astronauts to orbit.
As Stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, Stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the 9 M1D engines will reignite and then shut down. And this helps to slow the stage down in preparation for entry back into the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere.
They still have
the
their
first stage is
countdown
back
blocking
to
it.
Earth,
Oh, come
the second
on.
stage will cut off its 1 Merlin engine that was ignited right after stage separation. Once this happens, we'll wait for confirmation of a good orbital insertion.
About 90 seconds after Dragon gets into orbit, Falcon 9 will land back on Earth. The landing burn is just a single engine burn, powerful enough to bring the vehicle's speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship about 9.5 minutes into the mission.
While Falcon 9 first stage is landing, Dragon is preparing to separate from the second stage.
I could just
At
go
about 3
here.
minutes after the second stage gets into orbit, we should have a great view of Dragon with its 4-person crew drifting away from the second stage. Once Dragon is a short distance away, it will begin checking out its Draco maneuvering thrusters to make sure Dragon continues to increase separation distance from the second stage. It's worth noting that these are not the Super Draco engines that would be used during an abort scenario.
About 40 seconds after separation, Dragon's nose cone deploy sequence will begin. It will take roughly 4 minutes for the nose cone hooks to unlatch and open, exposing its guidance navigation controls, or what we call GNC, that will help Dragon autonomously fly to the space station.
And lastly, once the nose cone is deployed, the remaining Draco thrusters on the forward bulkhead will be checked. From there, over the next 23+ hours, Dragon will be in its rendezvous and approach phases, undergoing a number of phasing burns as it makes its way to station. All of that will be coming up soon. For now, let's check back in with Courtney in Mission Control Houston. Courtney.
Thanks, Gary. The space station team here in Houston is focused, and the critical systems on the station continue to function normally. The teams have verified the command path from the ground through our constellation of communication satellites to the station. Everything is nominal, and the station will be ready to receive Dragon tomorrow. Once the crew arrives at the station, they'll join Expedition 65. While on board, their official designation will be flight engineers, except for JAXA's Aki Hoshide, who will take command of the space station from NASA's Shannon Walker, just before Crew 1 comes home. He'll be the station commander until the fall, when he'll hand the reins to European Space Agency Thomas Pesquet for the final part of their mission. Flight Director Paul Kanya is on console now, leading flight controllers in Houston for launch, and Flight Director Scott Stover will lead teams for docking tomorrow. Just a reminder that a launch today will take about 23.5 hours to get to station, with a docking to the Node 2 forward port scheduled tomorrow at 4:10 a.m. Central. Once Dragon is docked to the station, the team here in Houston will assist Dragon and space station astronauts with leak checks, as they will work to open hatches on both Dragon and the inside of the station's pressurized mating adapter. We expect hatch open to take place approximately 2 hours after docking. That's
Okay, just a little reminder, we're 9 minutes away from second stage LOX loading. So we're getting into the hot phase now.
All right, thanks, Courtney. You're looking live at the Falcon 9 rocket and SpaceX Crew Dragon, and we can see liquid oxygen venting off the rocket. That is normal and expected. It is now T-minus 23 minutes, 50 seconds and counting from the third astronaut launch from U.S. soil in the past year, and the first with 2 international partners aboard. Commander Shane Kimbrough, pilot Megan MacArthur, and mission specialist Thomas Pesquet and Aki Hoshide are strapped into their seats inside the Crew Dragon Endeavour on top. There's an inside view.
Look
we
at
can
them.
see them live as the Falcon 9 rocket fueling operation is well underway now. The launch escape system is armed, and that means the Crew Dragon is prepared to launch itself away from the Falcon 9 rocket in case of an emergency on the pad or after liftoff. So far, operations look and sound as expected, and we are counting down to liftoff at 5:49 Eastern Time.
Johnny in Asia, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Much appreciated.
Space station from U.S. soil on private rockets and spacecraft. This wouldn't have been possible without the success of the NASA SpaceX Demo 2 test flight last year and the safe delivery of the Crew 1 astronauts to the space station last fall for a long-duration mission. Those Crew 1 astronauts are preparing to return to Earth shortly after Crew 2 arrives at station.
And this will be the first time we'll see 2 Crew Dragons docked to the space station at the same time. Crew 1's Resilience and Crew 2's Endeavour, that's on the launch pad right now.
Amazing work.
With the arrival of the Crew 2 team, I believe that'll bring the head count on station to 11 people. And as much as I love camping, that does sound like it would be a little crowded up there.
Yeah, you counted 11 people on board the station, 9 of them in the U.S. segment. We've got 4 crew quarters, which are basically crew bedrooms. We've got both commanders of the Dragons sleeping in their vehicles. That
Which
leaves
must
3
be
people
amazing.
needing a place to sleep. That's Suichi, Shannon, and Victor. They'll be in the gym, the Columbus, and the airlock, respectively. So you could say it's quite a full house.
Pretty
They'll
crowded.
be camping out, rolling out their sleeping bags on rack fronts.
And sleeping inside the Crew Dragons must be absolutely amazing, because you've got windows. That is one of the biggest differences between that and basically every other place on the ISS except for the cupola. You have windows, so you have a sleeping bed with a view down to Earth. That must be absolutely insanely amazing.
Outside of the Crew Dragon window, it's actually my phone background right now. And it's just incredible, and I love that they share their perspective with us from above.
Let's give you a quick recap of who the astronauts are sitting inside the capsule here in the foreground. Sitting closest to the front of your screen is Commander Shane Kimbrough. He is commanding the Crew Dragon Endeavour today, and he is a native of Texas, making his 3rd trip to space. The retired U.S. Army colonel first launched aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour on STS-126, then aboard a Russian Soyuz spacecraft for expeditions 49 and 50.
He's done it all.
Kimbrough has spent a total of 189 days in space and performed 6 spacewalks.
Wow.
Pilot Megan MacArthur will be making her 2nd trip to space, but her first to the space station. She was born in Honolulu. She was born in Honolulu, but considers California her home state. MacArthur served as a mission specialist aboard Space Shuttle Atlantis on STS-125, the final servicing mission of the Hubble Space Telescope. She operated the shuttle's robotic arm over the course of 12 days and 21 hours, capturing the telescope and maneuvering the crew members throughout 5 spacewalks to lengthen the telescope's life.
Wow.
And mission specialist Aki Hoshide is embarking on his 3rd space flight today. The JAXA astronaut from Tokyo previously flew on STS-124 aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery to deliver and install Japan's science laboratory Kibo. He also flew aboard the Russian Soyuz on expeditions 32 and 33 for a 124-day visit to the space station.
And in the far corner of your screen is mission specialist Thomas Pesquet. He will be making his second trip to space. Born in Rouen, France, Pesquet first flew to space on the Russian Soyuz as a flight engineer for expeditions 50 and 51. In that time, he worked on more than 50 different experiments and performed 2 spacewalks with Kimbrough to maintain the space station. He has logged 197 days in space. Pesquet will be the first European to fly in Crew Dragon, and it will be the first time a European astronaut has launched from America in more than a decade.
Each of these 4 crew members will join Expedition 65 once they arrive at the International Space Station, with Aki Hoshide taking over as commander of the station right before Crew 1 departs.
And as we're looking at a live view of the pad, again, fueling is underway. We heard a call out during those bio recaps that the RP-1 load is complete on the second stage.
Mm-hmm. LOX load is to begin.
And we have a really special treat
fairly
if
soon.
we could take a view of Bob Behnken's spacesuit. We have that in studio. That is the actual spacesuit worn by Bob Behnken during the Demo 2 test flight. And you can see the photo of his wife, Megan MacArthur, in the photo there. And she is sitting in the same spacecraft, in the same seat that Bob did almost a year ago on the Demo 2 mission. Megan is the pilot for this mission. There's a shot.
I mean, that is so cool, isn't it?
And Doug Hurley's spacesuit on the right. This was a couple days ago during the pre-launch news conference.
Wow.
So again, looking live at the pad, Falcon 9 will have 1.7 million pounds of thrust at liftoff, and We've heard it sounds like a gorilla sitting on your chest. Would you say that's accurate, Tracy?
Yeah. I've never had actually a gorilla on my chest, but I imagine that
it's breathing
one would
now.
be that heavy. That the feeling that you have in your chest is pretty significant.
Once again, the white cloud that we see there is expected, totally normal. That's just the liquid oxygen vaporizing essentially as it comes into contact with this humid Florida air.
Yeah, from the first stage. Second stage LOX load is about to begin in 30 seconds.
Super chilled to help densify that liquid oxygen. When I say super chilled, I mean really, really cold. We're talking like negative 336 degrees. So, of course, whenever it comes into ambient air, it will turn into its gaseous state. Which
LOX load has started.
There you go.
We just heard the call out that second stage LOX load has just begun.
Amazing. While we're still waiting for the launch, please do like the stream.
Control rooms
Give
from
me a second.
Kennedy Space Center to Houston.
Please do like the stream if you've got the time, if you like what we're doing here. Subscribe to the channel, become a patron, a YouTube member if you want to support us, buy some of the merch that should be right under the stream, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for showing up, and I can't wait for them to launch this rocket.
There's
15 minutes.
Very delicate dance between the weather, normally the weather and the operations, and making sure all these complex systems are working correctly together. And what it's really important is just how calmly, quietly, efficiently the team's working through every single one of those things. It's why we train.
People are very passionate about this program, as am I, and they know the consequences of what they're doing. They know that the crew's lives depend on what they're doing. This human spaceflight endeavor requires diligence every day on the job, and I think our team knows that.
I definitely feel like those crew members are in our hands, and we need to be there thinking straight, making sure we're making the right decisions so that we're getting that crew safely to the International Space Station.
Yep.
And that was Kathy Leaders and Steve Stitch, who have been in charge of the NASA team for much of the life of the Commercial Crew program and have worked very closely with the folks on the SpaceX side who have gotten to know these astronauts on a personal level and have taken such care in all of the checkouts and the paranoia reviews, as they're called, to make sure that they're constantly looking for problems to uncover, to make sure that every leaf, every stone is unturned to make this flight as safe as possible for the crew.
Okay, so next up, in about 8 minutes, we have first stage engine chill. So we're getting close now.
Minutes, 15 seconds, and counting. Liftoff will be about 1 hour before sunrise here on Florida's Space Coast, and if we're lucky, we may see a beautiful contrail at first light. At the time of launch at 5:49 and 2 seconds Eastern Time, the space station will be flying 258 miles over the Indian Ocean south of Sri Lanka. And now with T-minus 13 minutes, 50 seconds, and counting, we want to focus on the pad as we proceed through the final stretch of the countdown. We will turn it over to Hawthorne to take us through launch at 5:49 this morning. John?
Hype train! We have a hype train, everybody! Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Everything is still looking good
or tonight,
for launch of Falcon 9
depending on
and
where
Dragon,
you are.
49 minutes and 2 seconds after the hour.
Can't wait for this to happen.
Falcon 9 began propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes. Loading of the RP-1 fuel onto stage 2 is complete. Fuel loading is continuing on the first stage. We're over half full, and it'll finish at T-minus 6 minutes. The densified liquid oxygen loading is continuing on the first stage, and we began loading liquid oxygen onto the second stage a few minutes ago. The liquid oxygen loading will wrap up T-minus 3 minutes on the first stage, about T-minus 2 minutes on the second stage. Checkouts of the thrust vector controllers, what we call TVC wiggles, are coming up.
Second, I have to turn down the microphone.
Checkouts on the engines. That's where we move the engines a little bit, make sure the hydraulics are ready to go. Currently, the range is go, ready to support, working no issues. And we continue to have good weather, both at the launch pad at ground level, at the upper altitude winds, and downrange at the contingency landing sites. On the Dragon spacecraft, the Dragon mission director and team, they're reporting no issues. Their communication checkouts are complete. The crew access arm is retracted, as you see on your monitors, away from the vehicle. The launch escape system is armed. The crew is strapped in and ready to go.
Ready to
Final
go.
instructions of the crew will be coming at T-minus 10 minutes. They'll configure their displays for launch. That'll give them insight into how the launch is proceeding, and it provides constant updates on vehicle health. And for Dragon at T-minus 5 minutes, we'll hear it enter terminal count as they transition to internal power. Now we're going to hear continued callouts on the countdown net as we get close to T-minus 0 and to the liftoff.
Okay, so for those who do not know, that was Streaming Cat Cookie. She's always here when I stream or when I work on my episodes. When I film, you can be absolutely sure that somewhere in the background the cat was sitting while I was working. She's always up here in the studio.
We're continuing to track that the Falcon 9 and Dragon are looking good for launch, but just in case anything were to happen, Dragon is fully prepared to initiate an abort and use those Super Draco engines to escape from a speeding Falcon 9. On the way uphill, you'll hear a series of letter and number combinations. Those will denote the stage that the rocket is on and the abort zone that we're on as well. On first stage, you'll hear abort zones A and B. That will cover the Falcon 9's ascent up to about the northern border of North Carolina, about 7.5 to 8 miles in altitude. And the stage 2 will have stage 2A through E. Mostly it will be stage A, or stage 2A abort zone, but towards the...
All right, just real quick, shout out to Ant, who's watching with the whole class right now. Have fun with the launch. I can't wait for this to happen. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we have Rob Cox. Thank you so much for the super chat. Looking forward to the launch. Thanks for the great channel content and explanations as with all your videos. Not long now, not long now. We're so close now. 10 minutes and 20 seconds to go.
Godspeed from some of the ground teams here, ensuring that the crew is ready to go. That Falcon 9, Dragon, and all the support teams are ready for launch.
Yes, I am ready for launch, that's for sure. Can't wait for this to happen. 10 minutes to go. Come on. 10 minutes, come on. Nicht so laut, du musst leise schnuppern.
SpaceX, confirmed crew displays are configured for launch.
Okay, I'm sorry if you hear any purring. It's the cat.
Displays are configured for launch.
SpaceX copies. Shane, Megan, Aki, Tama. We're thrilled to have crew on board Endeavour once again, and truly honored to have you all at the helm. It's been a pleasure training alongside you ahead of this historic launch. We wish you a great mission, good luck, and enjoy the ride.
Thanks for flying SpaceX.
Thank you, Chad, Christian, Frank, and all the teams who got our crew and vehicle ready for this mission. I want to say a special thank you to our families and friends. We're incredibly grateful for your support and sacrifice during our training and our upcoming flight. Our crew is flying astronauts from NASA, ESA, and JAXA, which hasn't happened in over 20 years. We're excited to represent our nations, agencies, and all of humanity. Off the Earth, for the Earth, Endeavour is ready to go.
Ooh, yes!
All right, some celebratory handshakes from inside the Crew Dragon. That was the voice of the Corps, Chad Healy, here in Mission Control Hawthorne. Next series of events, John, will be the engine chill. Everything's looking good so far.
Yeah, it is. We're actually watching the fuel trim valves on the Merlin 1D engines, going through some checkouts right now. And as you said, at T-minus 7 minutes, we're going to start a sequence of events that begins with opening the pre-valves. Currently, the liquid oxygen, the kerosene fuel on the Falcon 9 first, second stages is separated from the Merlin engines. T-minus 7 minutes, just over a minute from now, we open the pre-valves. That allows propellant down to the top of the engine or the inlet to the turbo pumps. At the same time, we open up bleed valves on the turbo pumps, and that allows a little bit of that densified ultra-cold liquid oxygen to flow through the pump and to chill down the liquid oxygen pump. That way, when we get to T-minus 2 seconds and we spin the pumps up and everything comes to full power, we're not pulling very cold liquid oxygen through a warm pump. So as that cools it down
look at them
right
in the
now,
capsule.
that'll get it
They
ready
are
for that ignition
pumped.
sequence in the last couple of seconds. So we should hear that call out that the stage 1 engine chill has started. You'll also hear in flight, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes into flight, MVAC chill has begun. That's also a repeat sequence there, where we open the bleed valve and begin chilling that engine one more time before it lights after stage separation.
Must be an incredible feeling to sit inside that capsule right now, 7 minutes before launch. It's you can't really imagine what kind of a feeling that must be. Amazing.
Stage 1 engine chill has started.
Yes, there we go. All right.
Yep, and there's the call out. We've got indication pre-valves coming open on the engines, and we have begun to chill in the Merlin engines for flight.
That's right, John. Now inside 6 minutes, 40 seconds. RP1 rocket-grade kerosene is completely filled in the second stage. We're anticipating about 30 more seconds for the first stage to be completely filled with that RP1 refined kerosene.
About now.
The liquid oxygen will continue to flow through the first and second stages up to the final minutes before
Stage
T0.
1 RP load is complete.
Yeah, there are tons of events happening right now.
All right, confirmation. We have 100% fill of RP1 on both the first and second stages. 6 minutes to go until an instantaneous launch window today. The next milestone will be Dragon to transition to configure for terminal count. And this time, terminal count, the Dragon will be on internal power, no longer relying on the lines from the ground.
Flight termination system final
And from
setup.
there, the Falcon 9 propellant tanks will pressurize for strong back retract. That'll be another visual milestone. The clamps just below the Dragon's unpressurized trunk will open, and the strong back will tilt back just 2 degrees. Then right after liftoff, back to 45 degrees. Again, RP1 kerosene, both on the first and second stages. Liquid oxygen continues to flow through.
That's all the things
on the
they don't
first
say.
and second stages.
We have MVAC engine, igniter
Very
purge.
cold liquid oxygen.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count.
Now, here we go.
Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
All right, John, good calls and right on time. Dragon is now on internal power.
Okay, next major event coming up is going to be opening the clamp arms around the second stage in preparation for retracting the strongback away from the vehicle to get ready for liftoff.
Yep.
Strongback is retracting.
We heard the call out. Strongback is beginning to retract. We're into the automated sequence. We should see the clamp arms that are just visible there around the top of the second stage begin to open up. Once they are open, then the strongback will begin to move away from the Falcon 9.
They are opening. Here we go. 4 minutes to go. 4 minutes.
Launching the sequence, a nice view from up on top of the fixed service structure. The arms are opening. And we're beginning to recline away from the Falcon 9. We'll move the strongback 2 degrees away from the Falcon 9. That'll get it ready for liftoff. And at T0, when the flight computer commands liftoff, the hydraulics on the strongback will pull it to a position 45 degrees away from the Falcon 9, giving it the clearance for launch.
You have to protect the
Right
strongback
now, the strongback
mainly.
is moving away. Everything proceeding nominally.
And we're almost at
It's
3
great
minutes.
to hear, John. We're also anxiously awaiting the liquid oxygen complete on the first stage.
Yep. And then
Should hear that
shortly
call
after,
very
second
shortly.
stage. Should be about now.
Dragon has
2:45.
transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power.
Nice.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
Perfect. And then shortly after, a minute after, we have second stage LOX tank full.
Okay, we've heard the call out. Stage 1 LOX load is complete. We're loading liquid oxygen on the second stage for about another 30 seconds or so. Once we get the liquid oxygen load complete on the second stage, the propellant line that runs up the side of the strongback that carries liquid oxygen, we'll vent that line down to make sure there's no liquid in it when we get to liftoff. When we do that, we open up valves on the strongback, and as Kate and Marie were talking earlier, when we vent off that very cold gaseous oxygen, it'll merge with the warm, humid Florida air, and you'll get a large white plume of condensation off of the back of the strongback. That'll be normal, coming about a minute and a half before launch. Everything
minutes.
continuing to
Stage
look good.
2 LOX load is complete.
Fully loaded.
Dragon is in auto idle.
All right, with that, the Falcon 9 is fully fueled. We have fuel on both the first and second stages, and both
on.
stages are filled with liquid oxygen.
Gas closeout has started. Expect loud venting.
Dragon is also in auto idle. The flight computer is on Dragon, maintaining their calculations, standing by, waiting for the T0 mark.
Pressurizing for flight.
1 minute, 15 seconds until launch. The 1 minute mark, Dragon will transition to countdown, and the flight termination system will arm the computers on Falcon 9. We'll be talking to the computers on Dragon and can issue an abort if necessary.
Now comes...
FTS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling. Dragon is in countdown.
Come on.
All right, 50 seconds to go. Everything is ready for an on-time launch today.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
Come on!
Copy, go for launch.
Here we
Ground
go.
teams are ready, and the crew inside Dragon
Crew
is
two.
ready. 30 seconds to go
T-minus
until
30
launch.
seconds.
Amazing. 20 seconds.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Mission and liftoff. Godspeed, Endeavour.
Here we go.
Endeavour launches once again. 4 astronauts from 3 countries on Crew 2, now making their way to the one and only International Space Station. The vehicle is pitching downrange. 9 Merlin engines on the first stage, providing 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Hearing good calls on the first stage performance so far.
Beautiful. From the VAB, Launch America. Amazing.
We are T plus 30 seconds into the second rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9. Falcon 9 will be throttling down the 9 Merlin engines shortly here in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. And there's that call out for the throttle down. Maximum dynamic pressure, max Q, is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees throughout Ascent, so throttling down does help us pass.
Mach 1.
Throttling down helps us pass through this period, which should be coming here shortly.
Max Q.
There's that call out that we have just passed through max Q.
Stage 1, throttle up.
And we can
Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
Abort mode. That is stage 1 abort mode.
Bravo is the second abort mode on the first stage. The first stage continues to fire for 2 minutes, 35 seconds. 1.5 minutes into today's flight.
Beautiful. Just move that up here so you can see the rocket.
Falcon 9 now traveling at more than 1,500 miles an hour.
Amazing. This is just beautiful. Every time it gets me. I hope you're having so much fun as I do.
Chill started.
All right, the engine chill for the second stage single Merlin engine has started. About 30 more seconds of the first stage firing to bring our 4 astronauts into orbit.
Now from here, coming up in about 20-some seconds, we're going to have 3 major milestones. We'll have shutdown of the 9 Merlin engines. We're beginning to throttle them down.
Yep.
We will then get stage separation.
1, throttle down.
And then we will get ignition of the second stage engine to propel Dragon and the Falcon 9 second stage into orbit.
Come on.
Two Alpha.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
Confirmed.
There you go.
Acquisition signal.
It's just beautiful what SpaceX is doing there. Incredible. Just incredible. Here we go. They're on the way.
Ignition of the second stage. You see the green flash of that T-TEB fluid.
Beautiful.
The expansion nozzle on the second stage Merlin vacuum glowing that bright red that we like to see. Good performance on the second stage so far.
And on the left side of your screen, we saw the exhaust of the second stage engine streaming past the first stage as the grid fins are coming out. We also briefly had a view of the lights of Central Florida in the background. Currently, the first stage is continuing to coast up to apogee. It's unpowered. It'll reach a peak height and then begin to descend back down toward the Earth's atmosphere, where it will light 3 engines to slow down in preparation for what will be a landing burn on the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. You can see the grid fins are deployed right now. The first stage
Dragon,
pulsing.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
We're pulsing the thrusters.
Signal Bermuda.
Copy, nominal trajectory.
And we hear a call out from the crew, nominal trajectory.
Beautiful.
So we're beginning to move the first stage into position so it can do the entry burn.
Pulsing looks amazing there. Look at that. That is SpaceX.
4 minutes, 15 seconds into today's flight. Second stage propelling our 4 astronauts up the eastern seaboard. We'll continue to fire. It's a 6-minute burn to deliver the astronauts into orbit. We'll wait for a cue for good orbital insertion after that. Meanwhile, we'll be hearing check-ins on the vehicle's trajectory and performance, as well as check-ins with some of the ground stations as it passes over throughout the 6 minutes of the second stage firing.
Just keep in mind, even though we're used to this by now, nobody else in the world is doing what SpaceX
Dragon,
is doing there.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Copy, nominal trajectory.
Incredible.
getting good views of both the first and second stage from the onboard cameras.
And 10,000.
Signal bus.
The New Hampshire tracking station has acquired the second stage telemetry signal. Meanwhile, the first stage has reached apogee and it's now beginning to descend from a height. It's currently about 167 kilometers up. And in a few minutes, we will get the entry burn of the second stage, of the first stage.
No, 2 minutes from now, we should have the entry burn. Beautiful. You see the RCS
SpaceX,
thrusters
trajectory
pulsing,
nominal.
lit up by the sun. Looks absolutely
Copy,
incredible.
nominal trajectory.
Right on cue, those check-ins on the second stage performance. Once a minute, everything's looking good on that second stage.
Propulsion is nominal.
Beautiful.
Stage 2 continues to climb. The vehicle now exceeding 8,000 miles an hour at an altitude of about 124 miles.
Yeah, on track. Very nice.
And just about 1 minute from now, we will begin the entry burn of the first stage. That'll consist of lighting the center engine, and then shortly afterwards, 2 more engines for a 3-engine burn to slow down the first stage in preparation for entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Ah, look at the horizon. Up there on the top left picture of the booster, you see the horizon. Ah, beautiful.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
It's pure sci-fi.
Copy, nominal trajectory.
All right.
Another
Coming up on
check-in,
the landing
crew
burn.
confirming
On
they're
the
doing
entry
the
burn.
same thing. The vehicle about to exceed about 10,000 miles per hour.
Meanwhile, first stage down at 90 kilometers, getting ready to relight 3 engines for the entry burn.
Again, those puffs that you're seeing there are RCS thrusters orienting the booster. And I've seen that live before. It looks absolutely amazing from the ground. Here we go. Entry burn.
We've got the center engine ignition, and there come the 2 side engines.
Yep.
Now, this entry burn will last about 29 seconds. It's going to significantly slow down the vehicle in preparation for hitting the denser part of the Earth's atmosphere.
Because otherwise it would just burn up. On re-entry, it would get damaged very, very much. It wouldn't completely disappear,
Entry burn
but it
complete.
would
We're down
very
below
much be
35
damaged.
kilometers, continuing to look good on the first stage, heading to the Atlantic Ocean for a landing on the drone ship.
While second stage is less than a minute away from cutoff.
You can see this cloud coverage above the Atlantic.
Stage 2 in terminal guidance.
And it's coming down fast. It's right now traveling at around 4,000 kilometers per hour, just to give you an estimate.
Shannon.
Copy, Shannon.
Shannon called out at the back end of stage 2, a few seconds until cutoff.
Yep. Fingers crossed for the booster. Fingers crossed.
MVAC shutdown.
All right.
Dragon SpaceX launch escape system disarmed.
Launch escape system disarmed. Copy.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
3 more minutes until Dragon separation.
Copy, nominal orbital insertion.
Right, the Falcon 9 second stage has done its job, delivering our 4 crew into orbit.
Here comes the landing.
You hear the applause here in Hawthorne. We're waiting to get a video signal back from the drone ship.
Yeah,
of
it looks
course,
like
I
it's
still
landed.
love you. And the view from the onboard camera, we saw it just briefly. It looks like first stage on the drone
Amazing.
ship.
Yeah.
Getting views of
Dead
the
center.
Dragon trunk.
Nice.
So the first stage is on the drone ship, successfully
Beautiful.
landed. And more importantly, second stage is in a nominal orbit with the Dragon spacecraft getting ready for some important events coming up, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. About 2 more minutes. The Dragon and the second stage of the Falcon 9 will be in a coast phase. It'll take that long until the spacecraft separates from the Falcon 9. Of course, both now in a nominal orbit.
So it's a really,
Great
really
to see some
small
of the views
coast
of
phase
the
today.
Earth as it passes by over the North Atlantic Ocean.
Yep, that's the view inside the trunk. On comparison, on Crew 1, for example, we had a 12-minute coast phase. Here we're looking at, from MVAC shutdown, we are looking at 4 minutes of coast phase. Beautiful.
We're getting shots of the crew in orbit. I'm looking for that 0G indicator.
Yeah. What is it this
Can't seem
time?
to see it in this shot, but we have a minute to go until we have spacecraft separation. Dragon traveling at nearly 17,000 miles per hour at an altitude of 124 miles.
Separation should be like right about now. Maybe another
Again, the
10
4-person crew
seconds or
of
so.
Endeavour is in orbit right now. Less than 30 seconds until we have spacecraft separation.
Oh, okay. Very close now.
Ten seconds to spacecraft separation. We should hear words from the core here in Mission Control Hawthorne once we have successful separation.
There we go. Couldn't be more beautiful. Right into the sun. Look at this.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Wow.
Dragon, stay
Godspeed, Crew 2.
Wishing you a great rest of your trip.
Amazing.
Waiting for us and let them know you're welcome to return safe. Thanks for flying our first flight-proven crewed Falcon 9. See you airside, Crew 2.
Beautiful. Look at that view.
Thank you very much. We're great. It's glad to be back in space for all of us, and we'll send our regards to Crew 1 when we get there. Thanks.
Yes. Absolutely amazing. It was the right choice for you to watch this today. This is a beautiful launch.
Absolutely stunning views
Picture
from both
perfect.
inside the cabin, seeing the excitement of our 4-person crew inside Endeavour, and watching Endeavour drift away from the camera on the second stage as the Earth passes by on an orbital sunrise.
SpaceX Endeavour week.
Incredible.
And Endeavour, you cut out a little bit there. If the question was if you're go to open visors, you are go to open visors at this time.
Copy and work. Thanks.
All right, 13 and a half minutes past liftoff. The crew is in orbit, traveling at nearly 17,000 miles an hour.
Go to that view, outside view again. Please put that full screen. Oh, there's the 0G indicator.
Well, Gary, I don't know about you, but that was a great countdown. Everything sounded great. Right on time.
Dragon,
Actually, a
SpaceX,
little
we
ahead
see
of
a
time.
nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
Got a good orbit out of Falcon 9, and first
Copy,
stage
great
landed
news,
on the
thanks.
drone ship. And we're in the sunlight over the Atlantic Ocean with
Look
the
at that
Dragon
view.
spacecraft. All in all, a great day.
I think everybody's jealous of the crew in orbit right now,
Yeah.
John. These views, even just from the cameras, are absolutely stunning.
Yeah, put
It was
that full
great to
screen.
see our
please.
crew members get into orbit. They already performed successful checkouts of the 12 service section Dracos around Dragon. The next milestone will be the deployment of the nose cone. That'll be about a 5-minute process, but that'll expose the forward bulkhead Dracos and prepare them for checkout. There's a phase burn. There's 5 major burns that are needed to get the Crew Dragon up to rendezvous at the International Space Station over the next 23 hours. And so that first phase burn is coming up real soon in about 35 minutes, actually less than 35 minutes.
Yep. Nose cone should be opening rather soon. Beautiful. Just absolutely amazing. Very, very beautiful. Thank you so much, SpaceX and NASA, for this. This is inspiring.
Jesse, I don't know if you could see the 0G indicator, but I was told it's a penguin. I'm trying to look for it.
It's a penguin. It's
I'm
up
looking
there
for
in the
it
picture.
too.
It's up there in the picture right next to the boot.
Keep an eye out on that left-hand screen.
It's right there. Now it's floating out of view.
Meanwhile, the Dragon is configured for a nose cone deployment. We'll stand by for when that sequence starts.
For those who are wondering, it's right up there. If when the picture comes back,
The nose cone itself
right up there.
opens just beyond 90 degrees, about 105 degrees, to expose the forward bulkhead Dracos. Those forward bulkhead Dracos, 4 of them at the very top of the Dragon, will do the bulk of the work when it comes to firing the Draco engines for minutes at a time.
There you go.
To increase the Dragon's speed, altitude, and phasing.
There's small
to catch up
thingies
with
are
the
the
International
Dracos.
Space Station again over the next 23 hours. Meanwhile, we're still getting camera views from the second stage, looking at that expansion nozzle. Did its work beautifully to deliver the 4 crew into orbit. Dragon over the North Atlantic Ocean.
And Gary, this is John. I think I heard a call out on one of the Dragon nets that the first set of nose cone hooks is open. So it sounds like that sequence is going well.
Nice.
Very good.
So it's, and for those who don't
Well,
know,
from here in
I mean,
Hawthorne, it was
most likely
very
most of you will.
exciting
This
to
is the nose
see
cone
the
here, and
Falcon
they are
9 lift off
unhooking
and
it
deliver
and
our
opening it
4-person
up.
crew into orbit. We're going to be with you throughout the entire phase. The rendezvous.
I'm going to turn them down real quick here. So they are opening up the nose cone here to expose the Draco thrusters. That those gray little dots here, like this one, and there's 4 of them total, as you can see, and they are used to do phase burns and docking maneuver burns. They are very, very important, so that nose cone opens up, and then they can use the Draco thrusters on top.
You know, we were able to just turn around.
And for those who are wondering where I got this absolutely awesome model, it's from morethan3d.com, and it's the best you can get, basically.
It was so astounding to see the colors. I mean, it was not just your usual fireball, but there was the pulsating towards the end. And Kate, you're much more eloquent describing that sequence, which I appreciate you doing that while we were
happy to help
staring. It was so fun, and knowing that those guys were enjoying the ride along with the sights that we got to see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn them down real quick because I want to shout out a few more super chats that we got. So thank you so much for the support. If you haven't done so yet, like the stream before you leave. It's really, really important for us content creators to get those likes. If you really liked what we did, it's really amazing. Thank you to everybody who's already done that. We have Hanksil Blitzer. Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm hoping Elon pulled a Psyche and a Starship launches in the background. Yeah. Joran Roelven, thank you so much for the super chat. I think I'll never get used to the view and sound of a liftoff landing, and the views of the stages. Absolutely amazing. I totally agree. It was a beautiful launch today, especially the view that we got from the second stage with the Crew Dragon slowly drifting away and the sunrise in the background. That was just yeah, those are the moments when you know why, when you perfectly know why you're a space and rocket fan. That's exactly why. So this is incredible. It was a really, really cool launch today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Yeah, it's incredible. Give me a second. Miranda Vigersma, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Are you going to cover the early launches in Florida as well? Love your coverage. Well, if I get good, strong coffee from my wife, I will. So I'm very, very much, of course, looking forward to being able to be on site when these launches happen. And as much as I can, I will live stream from down there where you can see the rocket launch in the background and give you some extra info that you can only get when you're on site, basically. I can't tell you how much I am looking forward to being able to see more rocket launches live. I've only seen one launch so far live. That was CRS-20. It probably was the perfect launch to watch live. It was a night launch like we just saw. It was a return to launch site, so I saw the booster land again. It's incredible. To see a rocket launch live is something very, very special. And yeah, of course, I can't wait to be closer to all that. And I'll stream as much as I can for everybody. Same as now. If I have the time, I'll be streaming because it's a lot of fun to do these streams. It's the best way for me to interact with everybody, with the community, besides those who are patrons and YouTube members who get access to the Discord and who can actually get in personal contact with me. So yeah, streams are always fun to do, and thank you everybody so much for joining in again. I think I'm probably going to stop streaming really soon because I have to still do a lot of things. I have to prepare for the episode release tonight. I'm going to drive and visit my dad today with my eldest son, and that's 500 kilometers away from here. So I'll have to do that besides releasing an episode. So I'll probably wrap up here real quick and then hop into the Discord as I always do after my live streams. There's another super chat from Chris Tuttle. Thank you so much for the super chat. Secret SpaceX employee. Lattes delivered on time today, Felix Urock. Thank you so much for that news. It's amazing. I have that on tonight's episode as well. That SpaceX is always trying to they are part of the community. As much as they are developing all this, they are also part of the community, and that's absolutely amazing. How Elon tweets and replies to tweets, how they always have some sort of joke on their hand, and like the Raptor sign they recently put up at Boca Chica, and so on and so forth. I just love the style in which they basically develop our future in spaceflight. There is no other company in the world right now being able to beat SpaceX with this. All of what you've seen today, again, is stuff that only SpaceX is doing. The Crew Dragon, the booster landings, all of it is unique to SpaceX, and so it's an incredible company. And I'm not a SpaceX fanboy. Plenty of people sometimes call me a SpaceX fanboy, but if you're a space enthusiast, a rocket enthusiast right now, there's this one company, and they're called SpaceX, and they are doing absolutely amazing things. I'm rooting for everybody, but I wish everyone else would step up the game and try to do things as amazing as SpaceX, because it's obviously possible. And I bow down to the whole engineering team at SpaceX and everybody else supporting what they're doing. It's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. Boris Makev, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up now and leave you with the pictures here. So I'm not going to close the stream. I normally leave it running. So if you want to keep watching for a while at least, you can do so. I'll be jumping into the Discord server now to say hi to the supporters and to talk to them for a while, and then I'll probably be packing my bag, trying to release an episode and at the same time drive to my dad. That's going to be fun. But it's almost weekend and we're almost there, and it's a pleasure to be able to provide you all with what you love the most. So thank you so much for being here tonight. It's a joy. It always is. And I'm already looking forward to doing serial number 15 with all of you, which should be next week, just as a heads up. There's no solid information I can release right now, but it should be next week, so we're on track, and SpaceX just needs to do the static fire, which could be happening today, which would be amazing. In one day, having two things again at SpaceX, it's pretty incredible. So enjoy your day, have your morning coffee if you're from the United States, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
we now see suit technicians will help the crew members get buckled in. As you can see, the side hatch has just been closed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Mission and liftoff. Godspeed, Endeavour and Crew 2.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
Endeavour launches once again. 4 astronauts from 3 countries on Crew 2, now making their way to the one and only International Space Station. The vehicle is pitching downrange. 9 Merlin engines on the first stage providing 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Hearing good calls on first stage performance so far.